Hi guys, my name is Doreen and today I'm going to be showing you how to create a neumorphic style effect from scratch. In this tutorial I will use Sketch because Adobe XD doesn't support at the moment adding multiple shadows or adding gradients on the border. So let's open up Sketch, let's create a new document, and let's say we want to create a finance mobile app that helps people put money on the side. So let's hit A for airports, let's choose Apple devices from this drop down, and let's choose iPhone 8. Let type U to draw a round rectangle or insert shape rounded, and let's add a perfect background, a dark background here. Let's make sure that has 24 pixels on the rounded corners. Let's get rid of the borders, and let's add a diagonal gradient oriented to the right. And for this bottom left, I will add 1A, 1C, 1F, and select the top right and add its value, and its value is 3E434E. Okay guys, let's save this gradient. Let's call it background. Okay, so let's add a title here. Let's say we want to create a saving goal that helps people save their money. Let's say we are in January and we want to put money on site for our August trip that we're planning to do with our girlfriend or wife. Let's make this title 18 pixels. It's good. Let's add a lighter, very light blue-gray color. So let's add our first back button that is under neumorphism trend. So click O for oval, hold down shift to create a perfect circle. Let's say we want this to be 34 pixels. Let's get rid of the border for the moment. Let's say that it's 20 pixels on the left and 12 and 20 pixels on the top. Let's select these two elements and make sure that are perfectly aligned centered on the vertical, and let's create the gradient. Again, another gradient, but this time oriented on the right. So here on the bottom, let's add this dark color that we use on the background, and here on the top left we will add this color that we used on the background, maybe a bit lighter. And after that we add also the borders, and on the borders we are also using the gradient, but this time we're gonna switch the colors, guys. So here we're gonna add this light blue dark color and on the left we will add this very dark color. So we're halfway near. So if you take a better look on this shot, you can see that the shadows here are making the whole difference. So let's add the shadows. Here on the top left, this guy uses a lighter shadow, and on the bottom right he uses a darker shadow. So let's open up again the sketch. Let's make a thicker border to go even deeper, and let's add our first shadow. Let's move its position. Let's move it to the right, and let's move it a bit to the bottom. Let's make sure that it has this very dark background, and let's add a lighter shadow that makes the whole difference here, guys. Let's move its position, -4, -4 here. Let's make it lighter, and here, guys, let's make it blurry. I like to use 12 pixel on both, And voila, we have our first element under the neumorphism trend. So let's make this even lighter. Okay, let's make it it's a bit darker here. Let's add the arrow. Okay, so let's center this perfectly on horizontally and vertical. Let's get rid of this folder. Let's group this and let's call it back arrow. Okay guys, so if you want to reuse this style, you can go here on styles and create, and let's make it emboss circle. Okay guys, so let's add the container. Let's add the content of this artboard. Let's make another rounded rectangle. Let's make sure that has 24 pixels. Let's make a neutral color somewhere in between this gradient. Let's make it darker. Okay, let's add a very subtle border here. Okay, let's make sure that it's perfectly centered. And here we can add a title, something like goal details. Let's make sure that it has 16 pixels. Let's make sure it's a line on the left. It has 16 pixels and 20 on the top. Okay, and here we can add a paragraph. Let's make sure that it's regular. Make sure that it's 14. Let's make it darker and say something like, congratulations, you have reached the goal for the month. Keep up the good work. And here guys, we're gonna draw another neumorphic element. We're gonna create a radial graphic tool that shows the progress of the goal. What do you say guys? So let's create an in-depth effect. So let's hit an O. Let's hold down the shift to create a 150 pixel circle. Let's make sure that it's centered. Let's arrange a bit these layers. Let's make sure that this one stays in the header. And let's get rid of the border instead, and let's make a very dark circle. Go even darker. And to create an in-depth effect, you must know that we have to add an inner shadow here guys. So make sure you play with the positions here. It comes from the top left. I like to add from the top left. Make sure that is 3 pixels and 3 pixels. It has a very thin blur, not so blurry. Make sure that it has the same color like the background. We're not using so many colors because it's very hard for developers to implement. And let's add another inner shadow that comes from the bottom right guys. So let's use our color here. So as you guys know, there is no perfect recipe here guys. You can play with colors, with gradients, with outer glows, inner shadows. That's the whole point here. Let's move its position. Let's say that it comes from beneath and it comes from the right, and 3 make sure that it's 4 on blur. Let's make it darker. Okay guys, and the in-depth effect is almost there. Let's add a border. Let's make sure that it's lighter. And what do you know, another neumorphic design style element is here. Let's go even deeper with this inner shadow. Let's make it more prominent. Let's increase its blur. Let's make it the same here. And let's add a gradient to go even further with this. Let's make sure this on the top left is darker, and here on the top, on the bottom right is lighter, something like this. Okay guys, okay, I love it. I like it. So let's make sure that it's bigger. It has 164 pixels. Okay, let's increase a bit the, the blur here. And again, let's make here and show the percentage of this goal. Let's make a pressing button. Let's create a new oval. Let's hold down Shift and let's create 100 pixel circle. Let's make sure that these elements are perfectly centered on the horizontal and vertical. Let's get rid of the border. We don't need a border on this one, guys. So let's make another diagonal gradient here. Let's make sure that here is this color and here this color. Let's make it on the gray, more faded, but not too faded. So here you are, guys. We're starting to create this effect. Like on the top is a bit darker, so it's kind of like I can barely help myself to pressing on this one. So let's add the shadows. So let's move 4 pixels on the right, on the bottom right, and 4 pixels on the y-axis, and let's make it here darker, and let's make it 16 pixels on the blur, and let's add the top left shadow here, and let's make sure that this is -4, -4. Let's make sure that it has 16 pixels blur. And as you can see, guys, let's make it a bit darker, a bit. Not too strong, not too subtle, somewhere in between, guys. Somewhere in between. And go even deeper. Let's make this. Let's create a bigger effect on the blur here. Let's increase the blur. So let's add here the percentages. Let's say we want to say that we are with our goal on 75% before it's complete. Let's make sure that it's centered. Let's increase its size to 24 pixels. Let's make it bold. Let's duplicate this. Let's make it 14 or maybe 16%, 16 pixels. Let's copy style from this one and let's reuse it on here. Let's make sure that it's centered and say here complete. Let's make it even smaller, 12 pixels, and let's increase its color so we cannot make it so visible. This one is more important. So remember, guys, to establish the hierarchy. So how we can establish an hierarchy on typography, maybe we will talk about it in the next tutorial. So here we have the situation of that call. Here we have this cool circle. Let's increase here, and underneath, between these two elements, guys, I want to create a progress bar that it really indicates this 75%. So how we will do it? Open up again the O for oval, hold down Shift to create a perfect circle somewhere in between. Make sure it's underneath these two layers, and let's get rid of the fill. Let's make sure that it has 8 pixels. I changed my mind. I don't want to be in between. I want to be on the top of this in-depth circles, so it has the same size, even bigger, 160. Select these two, these three, these fours, make sure they are all perfectly centered line, and let's create a cool, let's say that we don't want that this circle is showing up anywhere here, so let's start from scratch, let's start from zero, it's progress. So how we're gonna do that? So we were gonna do a bit of a math here, guys. We're gonna change the settings of this border. So on the gap, we'll type 9,999 on the gap. So as you can see, it started from here. And on the dash, let's type 10. And if we want 75%, we can do something like this. Press 0.75, multiply by the diameter of the circle, which is 160, times p, that is 3.14. And as you can see, guys, it shows up a perfect 75% progress here. So let's add a bit of a color here. Let's add the gradient. Let's say that on the bottom right is darker and on the top left is lighter. So what is the main color? The brand color. Let's use it right now. I will use a bluish green, guys. So here we can add something like this, maybe a bit lighter. And here we will go something like this, but more on the green, guys. But not so vivid and not so blue. Okay, guys, and I want this gauge graphic radial graph to be with the rounded corners. So click here on the ends and we have rounded corners. And that's it, guys. We have created a gauge radial graph under the neumorphism trend. So let's make sure that is a bit lighter. It's kind of like dark and it's not standing out yet, but with the right colors it will. You know, guys, that a cool design stays in the details. The whole sum up of details are making the design. Okay, guys, so let's group this. Let's make sure that this progress, let's name this progress circle. We can increase its width, make it 12. Let's group these circles and let's say gauge radial graph. And let's create a border that it has a really cool in-depth effect. So press L for line. Make sure that it has the same width as the container. Let's make sure that it has a darker color than the background here. Let's make sure that it is smaller to not interlap with the borders. Yes, we don't want to overlap with them. So add a shadows to create this in-depth effect. So make sure that it has no blur, just the position here you have to change, and make sure that is the same color as the border of the container. So voila, guys, we have our first in-depth border. So to go even deeper, to make it more visible, we have to increase the darkness and the lightness of its border. Make sure that it has 1.5 pixels. And that's it, guys. We have created our first neumorphic design. under this dark financial mobile app. So what else we want to create? Let's say we want to create a progress bar. Okay, hit U. Let's make sure that it has 16 pixels. Let's make sure that it's perfectly centered on the horizontal. Let's make sure that it has the same style as this one. So let's say indent style. Let's see guys if that works. So let's create here for this document and let's create indent style. Wow, it's already been here. Wow, wow, wow. Let's add a lighter border. And let's say that here this element has its own shadows. So, oh, I'm pretty satisfied with this color, but let's reuse our colors. And let's add a lighter inner shadow here to go even further with this. So how we do that? You see here it already has an inner shadow, but we want even lighter. So check out guys. Let's make it smaller. Okay, and let's make it lighter. And let's decrease the blur of it. Okay guys, so that's it with this this progress bar. So let's add the progress. We create another bar, so hit U, make sure it goes full with the round corners, and let's say that these are perfectly vertical centered, and let's add this gradient here guys. So this gradient is here. The lighter colors goes on the bottom right and the darker one goes on the top left, so it's the other way around with this circle with the progress bar. And let's add the borders. So we switch the colors of the borders guys. Here we will add a lighter green border, and here on the bottom we will add a darker green border. So look what how it looks. I really love it. So we have to pay attention on this dark border. Let's decrease it, the darkness of it, and let's make it like here, a bit dark. Okay guys, we will add an inner shadow. Let's make this very dark green, and on the right, bottom right, another inner shadow that has a lighter green that is coming up from the bottom. So change the position once again, make sure that has no blur. Oh, excuse me, on inner shadows. My god, so many details. But that's the trick guys, that's the trick. So bear with me. Move the position here. Let's make it okay. Let's add a bit of a blur. Let's increase its darkness. So here guys, we have our progress bar that indicates the whole progress of this goal. We have our gauge radial graphic tool, we have our background, we have our pressing button, we have a lot of elements we created in such a short time. I know guys that is not so short. I hope you can see the trick on creating this neumorphic effect. If you already created one, please send me your shot at hello@premiumuikids.com. And my question for you is, what would you like to learn in the near future? And I will make a video. Thank you guys. Don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube, and don't forget to download this freebie on my website. Thank you so much.